What's up, my beautiful people? This is your boy Stefan, your Afro-Grenadian ambassador. I welcome you all back to my channel. Well, guys, in this video today, we have a prominent lawyer named Jerry Edwin, Grenadian lawyer, who is calling for a decolonization in our education system. He is arguing the fact, which I fully support him in, is that if we are to move Grenada forward and build a better future for our young people, we must decolonize and reform our education system. Let's take a listen to what he had to say, and then we will come back and discuss all about it.
Criminal defense attorney Jerry Edwin is calling on the education authorities to consider reforming the requirements for CXC passes in order to get to the lone college institution in Grenada, TAMCC. The attorney says his comments come at a point where he realizes the statistics shows the increase in crime and violence by young men in Grenada. In a recent interview with MTV News, Edwin says once a student completes secondary school, they should be able to attend at TAMCC. He believes that this can also reduce the number of young men going in and out of the prison system and aid in boosting their self-esteem. According to Edwin, most young men who finish secondary school with little or no subjects often experience challenges finding proper employment. This, he says, encourages frustration and idleness, which result in them spending time on the block and engaging in criminal activities.
In innovation, it cannot innovate because the tradition is one that says you must have X number of passes. In other words, the student must prove they can learn. Instead of the mandate of the institution being, come, we will teach you. So I'm suggesting respectfully to the Ministry of Education that we have a change in how we admit students to TAMCC. Students who want to learn, who have completed high school. If you complete secondary school, you should be eligible for admission automatically to TAMCC. I think that would save some of our young men from the criminal justice system.
The attorney says the age range of men being sentenced to prison continues to get younger, which he noted as a serious concern. He commended the government of Grenada for implementing the free tuition program and encourages them to continue to find ways in which they can help curb the situation that is confronting the country's young men.
In order to qualify, like all students, to qualify for TAMCC, must have 5 passes. This government has taken a leapfrog, really, over some of the hurdles by removing the economic barriers to attending TAMCC, our tertiary institution, homegrown. We suggest, as a result of our work in the courts, where over and over and over again, we notice that the perpetrators, their ages are getting younger and younger.
Edwin believes that access to education in this new dispensation needs to be easier accessible.
The student can matriculate later. I mean, I happen to have a very keen sense of higher education, having worked at a university for 12 years of my life. And we would get students in who barely eke through high school. 4 years later, they have an undergraduate, a bachelor's degree. 2 years later, they have a master's degree. And those who want a PhD, within 8 years, they can complete the entire cycle of their education. So by 30 years old, and that's why I think our young men are lagging behind.
And he's so right. We need to decolonize and change this education system. He spoke about the tradition in that you have to prove that you can learn when it should be the other way around. Education is not a privilege. It shouldn't be a privilege. It should be a right. But here in Grenada, it seems as though education is a privilege. If you do not have the money, there are certain institutions you cannot go into. If you do not have certain levels of knowledge and education, there are certain career that you cannot embark on, certain studies that you cannot embark on, and this has to change if we are to better, especially our young men who are now being imprisoned at a very, very young age. A lot of our young men are getting themselves involved in illegal stuff, are getting themselves involved in all sorts of illegal activities that is winding them up in prison. And sometimes we may quick to judge, oh, young men, don't want good for themselves, and they have to do what is right. But if we do not have the avenues to give them the opportunity to do what is right and contribute to society, then how can we get positive results? So I agree with the attorney Jerry Edwin. We need this colonial tradition that if you don't have a certain amount of passes, you cannot go a certain amount of, do a certain things you cannot do. You cannot go to TAMSIS, you cannot go to university. And as he gave a story, as we listened, and he said that there was he taught in the university for quite amount of years, and there were certain people who did not have the requirements, but they took them in, and these individuals today have graduated with bachelor's, masters. Everyone deserves the right to education. Everyone deserves the right to education, and we need to get rid of this colonial educational system that we have inherited. Well, guys, let me know what are your thoughts in the comment section below. God bless you. Until next time.